Thursday, tonight, we have the Renewable Energy Seminar hosted by myself. The third Thursday of each month, Detroit solar sales, similar to Ann Arbor, focuses on case studies of meritorious solar projects going on in Detroit. And the fourth Thursday of each month, we have My Solar Stories, meritorious projects in Michigan. We also do a series of question and answers on those fourth Thursdays. Our GLREA Renewable Energy Series covers topics of interest to clean energy users, renewable energy businesses, and advocates. Our seminars include content ranging from technology to business to public policy. The RES is our Clean Energy Seminar is a Zoom event held the second Thursday of each month from 7 to 8. Questions and comments and suggestions should be directed to me. My email is there. We ask you to remember, again, please mute yourself. And also, please hold all your questions to the end of the presentation. You can raise your hand under the reactions area to ask a question, and I will call on you to ask your question. So tonight, I want to welcome Mark Furta. Again, he's the Corporate Director of Renewable Energy Technologies, McNaughton-McKay, and Sean Parnell, Regional Sales Manager, MeyerBurger, to our September GLREA Renewable Energy Seminar. McNaughton-McKay is a financial supporter and long-term good friend of GLREA, a stellar corporate citizen to Ann Arbor, a welcome economic development and diversification and job creation to Michigan, and an innovator in the corporate governance and a solid climate risk mitigation partner to all living things in Michigan. They have been a ground zero on leading distributed and centralized solar installations and meetings in Michigan, have led efforts to expand solar manufacturing in our state, have teamed with leading solar installers and environmental organizations such as the Sierra Club and Michigan Interfaith Power and Light. They've partnered with leading solar companies and technology innovators across the globe, and now they are leading a partnership with MeyerBurger. And finally, they're a strong partner in both Ann Arbor and GLREA's Solarize programs to help communities install large blocks of solar. Headquarters in Thun, Switzerland, MeyerBurger is a globally active mechanical engineering company known for the quality of their solar production facilities. MeyerBurger's focus on heterojunction or HJT technology, proprietary smart wire connection technology, and high precision measuring systems for silicon wafers, solar cells, and modules. MeyerBurger is also a member of the Ultra Low Carbon Solar Alliance, along with Dow Chemical, Dow Corning, and Hemlock Semiconductor. In 2021, the company launched 2 new solar module manufacturing facilities in Germany. Their partnership with McNaughton-McKay is a key part of their expansion into the United States. So tonight, Mark and Sean will talk about the new McNaughton-McKay MeyerBurger partnership, the HJ solar technology, and what they will be bringing to Michigan. We anticipate that this new partnership and technology innovation will, in the words of Julie Baldwin, Michigan Public Service Commission, significantly speed up the solar train in Michigan. So Mark and Sean, it is my sincere pleasure to welcome you to the GLREA's Renewable Energy Seminar.
Well, thank you, Mark. Appreciate that introduction. And thank all of you for taking the time out of your evenings to join us and hear about this new, very exciting relationship that we've been able to develop with MeyerBurger. So for those of you that aren't that familiar with McNaughton-McKay Electric, we are a large electrical distributor here in Michigan and also have locations in Ohio, Georgia, the Carolinas, and Texas. But we started here in Michigan 115 years ago. So our corporate office is in Madison Heights. And we also have offices here in Michigan, in Ann Arbor, and in Flint. 15 years ago, we saw that there was an opportunity and a demand to support solar in the Midwest. And I had the fortunate opportunity to be able to start up a solar division here within our company. And our goal is to have everything that the community would need for the purposes of installing a solar array. And part of our job, we feel, is vetting out the best in the industry with those manufacturers that we represent. So we're not the Walmart of solar, where we offer everything and anything. We feel it's our responsibility to our customers to look for those companies that are the best in the market and benchmarked. And that relationship is what we have developed here now with MeyerBurger. A little bit of background, our relationship with the people running MeyerBurger goes back even a number of more years. Sean Parnell and Artis Johnson, who is the president of MeyerBurger US, are formerly from Solar World, which many of you know from our past, and was our primary solar supplier for many, many years here in Michigan. And so we're really glad to have Artis and Sean back on board with us and bring us a product that I think you'll all be excited to hear about. So I'd like to introduce Sean Parnell and turn over the rest of the presentation to him. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate the introduction. Thrilled to be here tonight to share a little bit of information about our company, MeyerBurger, and we're very excited that we are now bringing modules into the U.S. market in volume. If everyone wouldn't mind just making sure they mute their phones, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much. So a little bit about MeyerBurger. We are a Swiss company, and we got our start nearly 70 years ago. And that was maybe ironically as a Swiss watch manufacturer. We're focused on providing machinery to the watch industry. And shortly after, well, not shortly after that, but about 30 years later, they broke into the solar industry in the 80s with the acquisition of Passan, who still has a pretty dominant market share in terms of flashers. So every module you see coming off of a manufacturing line, regardless of where that module is manufactured, is flash tested at STC conditions. And Passan is one of the companies that provides the equipment that flashes that module to tell you the electrical characteristics of the module and how many watts are in that module. So that's how they broke into the solar industry. But 20 years after that is when we really dive a little bit deeper, and we started moving upstream. We produced some wire saw technology, which we were selling to wafer manufacturers. And subsequently, you'll see in 2016, just to jump ahead, is when we made a leap with this diamond wire saw. And my background is I've been in solar for about 10 years. I spent a long time, 6+ years at Solar World. And my first introduction to MeyerBurger was actually while I was working at Solar World. Solar World's headquarters were in Hillsboro, Oregon, or that's where the US manufacturing was. And a tremendous amount of the machinery that was located in the Hillsboro plant was actually MeyerBurger technology. One of those pieces of technology was the diamond wire saw. And basically what that enabled us to do is to cut the wafers so that they are able to produce more wafers per ingot as they're growing that silicon ingot, which is the basis for any solar cell. So taking a step back, we are a publicly traded company on the Swiss exchange. So the vast majority of what I am going over today is publicly available information, even though it says strictly confidential. And you'll be able to navigate to our website and find most of that, as well as some additional information. In 2008, this presentation is about our heterojunction technology, which is not something that we created, in the last even 4 or 5 years. This has been something that we've been working on for some time. As our main business was providing machinery to other solar manufacturers for them to make solar wafers, cells, and modules, we were simultaneously developing our own cell technology. And in 2019, we started an exclusive relationship with Oxford PV. Together with them, we have achieved several milestones in terms of record efficiency for a heterojunction cell technology. And the business decided in 2020 that instead of providing our machinery out to other manufacturers globally, we were going to pivot and actually start using those machines to make a module that's labeled MeyerBurger. So while we are relatively new to manufacturing our own solar panels, we have been in this industry since the 80s and have been providing manufacturing equipment upstream since the early 2000s. So we've got a tremendous amount of experience. The following, the slides on the bottom, I'm actually going to touch on here in a moment. So I'm going to skip over those. But before that, I've actually got one video that I wanted to share. See if this cooperates. In this video, what you're seeing here is actually, honestly, probably not the most interesting piece of manufacturing at MeyerBurger. The most interesting would be the completely automated cell factory, which I'm going to talk about in a second. It's mind-boggling the amount of automation that's there, even blowing this away. But this is our module manufacturing facility in Freiburg, Germany, which was actually acquired from SolarWorld. It used to be a SolarWorld plant. And these are where the modules that McNaughton-McKay are stocking are going to be coming from. So a little bit more about our manufacturing. One of the key differences here is that we are manufacturing in our key markets. So one of those key markets is Europe. The other one is North America. We'll touch on that in a moment. But we saw an opportunity where most of the manufacturing had gone overseas to Asia, specifically China. And I think we can all attest to some of the inconveniences that have occurred over the last 2 years in terms of supply chain disruption. And we felt there was a need to take back some of that autonomy and bring the supply chain back to Europe and back to North America. And there was no better place for us to do that than in Germany, where we've set up a cell manufacturing facility that's capable of scaling up to 10 gigawatts. I mentioned how automated that is while the video was playing. There are so few people that are in there because all of the machinery is doing all the work. It's really a testament to MeyerBurger's background in terms of building the machine that builds the product. And then we have a factory in Freiburg, which is capable of scaling up to 1.5 gigawatts. As I mentioned, that's where the modules are coming from today. And our R&D facilities are also located nearby. The other key market that we're targeting is the United States. And even before the recent news of the infrastructure bill passing, we had made a commitment to build modules in the United States. The plant we are going to be building out is located in Goodyear, Arizona, right outside of Phoenix. And at its peak, we're going to have about 500 workers there, and it's going to be capable of scaling to up to 1.5 gigawatts. One of the things I'll touch on later is how we're going to have the ability with those lines to flex and support residential, commercial, and utility customers, where today's modules that are produced in Germany are really geared towards residential and rooftop C&I projects. A little bit about our roadmap, which is very aggressive, but we feel like we need to, and we're very capable of hitting these volume thresholds. And we feel like in order to develop economies of scale to compete on the levels that we'd like to, that we really have to scale at this level. So what you'll see here today is we have our first 2 lines in 2022, which are giving us close to 1 gigawatt. In 2023, we'll be bringing on another 500 megawatts in Germany. And then in 2024 and 2025 is when we're going to see the lines in the United States begin to come online. It says 2025 there. I think that's probably pretty conservative, considering we already have the building leased out. Oh, one point I wanted to make was we have made a concerted effort to revitalize the supply chain and utilize suppliers, as an example, glass manufacturers, frame manufacturers, other subcomponents from the EU. And then we're going to do that same, we're hoping to do that same thing in the United States. Because again, this isn't just about producing a US assembled module, but we really want to help drive down the cost by working with other manufacturers upstream of subcomponents to create a module that's a little bit more sustainable and contributes to the circular economy. To that end, we've joined the Ultra Low Carbon Solar Alliance. And really what this focuses on is taking a look at the supply chain, taking a look at the energy mix that is used to manufacture modules with some of the competing products that are out there that are manufactured in areas like China that are dominated by coal plants. You know, you're looking at like a life cycle analysis of that product, and you could see a reduction of close to 50% in terms of GHG emissions. GHG emissions that you would get by manufacturing in the United States or in Europe. By electing to, go with a more sustainable power option. And we're working closely with wafer and cell manufacturers, wafer manufacturers, because we're making our own cells to ensure that their beliefs are aligned with ours. And on our website, we have a lot more information detailed to some of the commitments that we're making. But just as an example, we announced an alliance or a commitment to procure wafers from a Scandinavian wafer company in Norway, and they are another member of the Ultra Low Carbon Solar Alliance. So you can see how this can start to formulate. If everyone buys in, we can produce a module that is low cost, high power, quality, but also is each of the members of the value chain are committed to the environment. Okay, now on to our technology.
Sean, I'm sorry, real quick, and I just wanted to, well, we kind of were hitting a segue here, just check quickly. There were a couple of questions that came up, and maybe we could address those.
Yeah, of course.
And the one says, when you say 5 gigawatts of production, how many panels does that represent? Knowing that the panel output is changing frequently, but I think you can answer that, and it's kind of an average of panel wattage, right?
Yep. So just as and I'm just pulling up my phone here to do some quick math, but our modules that are coming off the line today are right around 380 watts. So per megawatt, that's about 2,630 modules. So you're gonna, if we multiply that by 1,000, we're looking at like, 2,630 some odd thousand modules per gigawatt.
Very good, thank you. And then the other question was there anything that led you to pick Arizona?
Yeah, I think there was a number of criteria, and I don't want to speak for the board of directors were the ones that ultimately made that call, along with my boss, our president and general manager Artis Johnson. But I think that there was one of the factors was the eagerness of the local officials to establish solar manufacturing infrastructure in that particular market. I know there were a lot of other contenders that were out there, and our hope is, we're going to be able to build not just a single factory in the U.S., but multiple factories. And I think that, locating that strategically in Phoenix, with relatively low power costs and the ability to potentially build modules with, renewable energy power was also a consideration.
Very good, thank you. And for those on the call, just an FYI, we did lobby hard with Meyer-Burger to try to see if we could direct them here to Michigan, but so that would have made it even a sweeter deal. All right, thanks, Sean. Let's get on to the technology piece.
Yeah, you got it. So HJT technology, which stands for heterojunction, is really at the core of what we offer. And we are one of the key differentiators with HJT technology and our patented technology is the processes in place that are required in order to produce a module. When compared with some of the other technology options that are out there today, our process requires fewer steps. Fewer steps means lower cost, lower energy input, and again, having a factor, impacting that overall desire to produce a sustainable product. But what you'll see is over time, our product today is 380 watts within the same footprint. We're going to be scalable up to 400 watts. And based on all of our legwork over the last, we'll say 10 years, we have, in our minds, a head start on the market in terms of bringing this HJT technology to the table and producing not only a high efficiency module, but I'll dive into some of the key characteristics of HJT technology in a second, but it's also a product that's going to perform better in the field and is going to have a lower rate of degradation. Now, one of the other components to our technology. And if you were to look back at, at our first, I think slide number 3, where I'd gone over the history, one of the businesses that we had developed, which we were selling to other module manufacturers, was this smart wire connection technology. Historically, modules have all used bus bars. We are combining our HJT technology with smart wire. Some of the benefits of smart wire are we are going to have less of an overall footprint on the cell, enabling more sunlight to hit that cell, more electricity to be generated. There's going to be less resistance. And when you look at our cells, you can actually, I should have included this in the slide, but you can actually bend our cells. Historically, with mono-PERC technology, you get a cell in hand. If you, because of the temperature in which that is baked at, if you even have like a slight move, that cell will crack. Now you're thinking, okay, it's in glass. When is that going to prevent an issue? But if you look at some of the defect rates of modules that are out there today, one of the biggest factors is micro cracks. And with our cell technology combined with smart wire, because we're making that at a much lower temperature, there's a tremendous amount of flexibility in there at the cell level. So that really reduces the amount of the opportunity for there to be micro cracks down the line. Oh, and one of the other points is utilizing the smart wire technology versus the bus bar cuts down on the amount of soldering that's required. Our modules are lead free. And that's just another input, which is, we're really making concerted effort when we put components into our modules. How easily recyclable is that material? So how does this translate into power, efficiency, performance on the rooftop? So for one, our efficiency should be right there at the top of the in terms of the industry, from a cell standpoint and a module standpoint. And what that means is more power per square foot, higher module power. Now, this was 400 watts. I moved it down to 385. The reason we're not producing 400 watt modules today is, quite honestly, just because we have relatively new lines. And as you're producing modules, more and more of them, there are certain areas that you perfect where that brings the module wattage up. And just in the last 6 months, we've gone from 375, 380, 385, soon to be 390, and we'll keep going up from there. Very low year one degradation out of the box. The products are also going to experience a very low annual degradation. In fact, one of the lowest in the industry. So if you're looking at our glass backsheet product, and our warranty is right on our website, you're going to be looking at higher performance after year 25 than you will with a competing module. And one of the biggest factors is the higher energy yield at higher operating temperatures. And how that shows on a data sheet is called lower temperature coefficient. So if you look at some of the products that are out there today, for every degree Celsius that you move up, they're typically seeing a reduced output of around 0.34% per degree. We're at 0.26%. Now, that is, going to benefit us significantly in hot weather environments, Arizona, California. So if you're asking yourself, well, we're in Michigan, why is this, as relevant? Well, this is all cell temperature. And when a module is up on the roof, regardless of whether you're in Michigan or in Las Vegas, that module and those cells are going to heat up and be operating at very high temperatures. So even in climates like Michigan, you're going to see a difference in that module performance due to the HJT technology at higher heat. And one of the last ones, which isn't going to come into play just yet, but as we're rolling out our bifacial modules, like a glass module, our cells are inherently bifacial, meaning every cell that comes off of our line, whether it's placed in a module with a white backsheet, black backsheet, or glass, is already bifacial. The industry is moving at the utility scale level to almost exclusively bifacial modules. Most of the competition, in order to get to that bifacial cell that goes in the module, have to perform additional steps. We do not. So right out of the gate, we're going to be looking at a cell that can go into our glass module today, and whether it's on a white TPO roof or commercial roof or on a single access tracker, fixed mount ground mount system, it's going to be able to produce more efficiency at 91% on the backside than our competition. And I see there might be some questions in the chat, so let me just open this up and see.
Sean, why don't you keep going? We'll take the questions at the end, because I want to make sure we get through your presentation.
You got it.
And we can go longer if people want to at the end.
Okay, so I've talked a lot about efficiency. Really, the only way to improve module efficiency is by outside of shrinking down the area in which there are gaps between the cells, is to create a more efficient cell. And we are going to do that by deploying a larger wafer in our next generation facilities. Solely by making that move, which is going to be an industry standard, we feel like in the future, that's going to enable us to go up from like a ceiling of 400 watts and efficiency of, we'll say 21.7% to, 22% in producing a module that's 420 to 430 watts. So that is that's going to be one of the benefits of setting up a new facility in Arizona. We're able to design the lines to accommodate, the technology improvements that we see coming down the line. So just a snapshot, and this is an example, and I'm happy to provide people with examples should they have any questions that are specific to them. But we took a system in San Diego. Let me just move this out of the way. This is, we modeled that MeyerBurger module, 370 watt module, against a 400 watt P-type mono-PERC module, a 375 watt N-type module, and you can see here the production per module is incrementally more than what you would see from competing modules. And that is because of both the reduced degradation over time. So we're going to be producing, at a higher clip at the end of the system life. We're going to be producing more power at key times of the day when the system is hot and we're reaching very high temperatures. And also, we're going to be able to provide, sorry, I just had something pop up on my screen. I lost my train of thought there. I was trying to close that. But in summary, we're going to be able to provide a very energy dense module, which is going to have a much lower rate of degradation over time. And what we did was we took that in the San Diego market with a rate of 25 cents per kilowatt hour, 1% energy escalator, and a 5% discount rate for net present value. And you can see how much the earnings per module increases over the lifetime with our HJT plus smart wire technology. And again, San Diego numbers won't be quite as inflated for Michigan, but you'll still notice a big difference. And with that, I think I'm finished. So is now a good time to, unless Mark Ferda had anything else to add in there that I missed?
No, I just wanted to share with people. So for those of you that are on the call, we'll work with John to get copies of the presentation made available. So you'll have this contact information and the content that was there, as well as my understanding that it is recorded and available on GLREA's website, YouTube site. But again, I want to just take a quick opportunity to introduce Nick Schluter, who is the latest member to our McNaughton-McKay team here, and is the person covering Michigan for us here at McNaughton-McKay. Many of you may have worked with Dave Leahy over the past 6-7 years. Dave will be retiring at the end of the year, and we're fortunate to have Nick come on board. So those are the contacts for anybody that has further questions and interest in the product. We look forward to working with you. So and yeah, so now we can maybe go back to the questions.
So Mark, you want to end your share screen? Let's do that.
Okay.
You got it.
And then it'll open back up. You'll be able to see everybody. So John Freeman, let's see. So again, if people want to ask questions, go in the reactions, raise your hand. We can call on you, or we can go through the chat and look at some of the answers. There was a question about the highly automated manufacturing doesn't create a lot of manufacturing jobs. So the 500 people in Arizona that are working in the manufacturing, what will they be doing?
I mean, there's a variety of different roles, but you can imagine while there's machinery that's handling each of the modules, you need somebody that's capable of operating that machinery. At the same time, we have folks that are, need to maintain that facility, need to package those modules up, need to handle logistics, customer service, so forth. So while there is a tremendous amount of automation there, you still need both like highly skilled workers to oversee that, and also folks who are capable of handling what you would see at any factory today in terms of QA, QC procedures, and really running our business.
So I guess let me ask the same question to Mark Ferda. Mark, so assuming this all goes swimmingly the way that we all hope it will, you are going to end up with a high performance solar module that's going to be very cost competitive. that has the potential to increase the sales of utility scale, commercial scale, industrial scale, and residential scale solar in Michigan. So given that, what do you see is going to happen to the solar companies that make their living selling solar? They're going to be more competitive. What do you think is going to happen? We're going to create jobs. We're going to create more. Do you see a growth in Michigan in the industry that's going to support all this? How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, so again, we started this 15 years ago, and we have seen continued growth throughout, and probably to the tune of about 20% on average a year. Over 15 years, that's continued, and we haven't seen that lessen. I think the thing that we were all really grateful to see was the new Inflation Reduction Act, which now extended the tax credit for another 10 years, increased it back up to 30%. That in our minds is a huge deal to keep on the continuation of sustainability. And there's a unique piece in there too, talking about a direct pay model that we're still trying to sort out the details. But it talks about an opportunity for non-tax paying entities like schools and churches and that to be able to participate in the 30% credit is in the form of a payment rather than a tax credit. And we see that as an opportunity to really help with the commercial side of the business as well, and the continued growth. And then as this technology continues to grow the way it is, when we started 15 years ago, I think the first modules we sold were 230 watt modules at a price of about $3.60 a watt. People are having installed their entire systems for that kind of money today. So there's I think just continued opportunity and growth in the area, in the market, and in the employment here.
So anyone has questions? I think, John, my video says that you turned it off. So I don't know if people have questions and they're not showing up, well, Dale has a question. Okay, Dale, go ahead. There we go.
Okay, sorry, I can't start my video for some reason. I wanted to thank you guys. We had a system installed in 2011, and I think they bought all the stuff from MCMC, and I added a system.
I think you're on mute, Dale.
How about now?
You're good.
Okay. I wanted to thank McNaughton-McKay for being around. My system that I had installed by an installer in 2011, I think that they got all of their stuff from you guys. And I added some other panels a couple of years ago myself, and I also got my stuff from the racking, at least from you guys too. So one question, the 400 watt range, that's for residential, like 1 by 1.5 meter size panel, not the 1 by 2 form factor?
Yeah, so great question. That's actually based on like a standard 60 cell format that's used in the residential space. So right now, we don't even offer a utility scale or 72 cell 96 cell module. If we did, it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 540 watts, I think, or 520 watts.
Yep. And so on one of your charts, I think you compared to the Panasonic. Well, it didn't say Panasonic, but it said HJT. Sometime in the past, that was a technology that was generally a little bit better efficiency than the rest of them. So this HJT is somewhat better than that. Is that correct?
It's really a very similar technology. Very similar.
Okay.
And we may have provided some of the equipment to actually make some of those modules.
Okay.
And Dale, I'd like to follow up to your question about the size of the panel and the form size and the wattage. So for many years, there were two standard size panels, a 60 cell and a 72 cell. And 72 cell was just two more rows of cells stacked on top. And over the past 3 or 4 years, through some, I'll call it clever marketing, people decided they wanted to advertise a higher wattage panel. And we're coming out on the market saying, well, we have a 400 watt panel. Well, when you pulled back the curtain, what you found out is that it was now a different form factor, and it was a 66 cell module.
Yeah, and they're approximately one meter by 2 meter approximately. They're pretty huge. Yep.
Right. Yeah. And so now you have where you used to have this standard format where everybody kind of followed the same frame size of a module within about a half an inch, quarter of an inch. Now it's all over the map as companies try to expand the size of the module, which obviously gives you more surface area. So what we usually suggest, if you really want to compare a module today, you need to take the square inches of the module and divide it by the wattage to find out what the true power is coming out of those cells.
Yep, and there's lots of different ways that they might advertise how they're rated. There's STC, and then there's a few different things. So yeah, you should be careful comparing them.
Correct.
Yeah, and just to add to that, one of the other criteria, PTC, which is, was developed in California to, I guess, better reflect real world conditions. Our modules, which are just PTC listed, were, I believe, the highest in terms of like on a per watt ratio basis that has ever been listed with through the CEC. So the performance per real world performance per listed watt at STC is going to be superior with our HJT and SmartWire technology.
That sounds great. So when are these going to be available in the U.S.?
So we have inventory sitting in our warehouse in Madison Heights.
Okay, and they're Meyer-Burger brand, or they're what?
No, this is MeyerBurger product. So we have some of the first U.S. shipments on hand in our Michigan warehouse.
Okay, great.
So, Mark, who are the solar companies that are your dealers that would have access to these panels?
Yes. I'm sorry, Mark. Did you say
the solar companies that installers that are installers for you that could bid those projects? Yeah. Who are some of those companies?
Oh, there's a litany, Mark, and but some of those that are long-standing good GLRE members, and there's a list. We'd like to say that we work with the majority of all those on your list, and I would refer back to that list, and only because I don't want to make the mistake of leaving somebody off.
No problem.
Thank you.
John Richter, you have a question?
Yes. So from what I've read about perovskites, they're usually lead based, and I think you said there's no lead in your product. So I'm curious, what's the material in the perovskite layer, if that's not a secret?
So we are looking to develop perovskite technology, but really what our HJT technology is silicon, in between, there's CSI smushed between two layers of amorphous silicon. And really the most of the lead content you would see in, like a mono PERC module is not at the cell level. It's due to the bus bars and the soldering, I believe. But to your point, perovskite technology is something that is going to be coming on the scene, and we are, we've got a R&D team that is deep in into evaluating that. But of course, we want to take into consideration, the subcomponents of that, as I mentioned.
Okay, so I was confused. So there's no perovskite in this. You're doing a multi-junction silicon on silicon cell with different layers with different band gaps then, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. Thanks. And you had said that your next gen will be more efficient because the wafers are bigger. And I'm a little confused by that. Is that just a module efficiency goes up because there's less wasted space in the framing, or?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So when you go from the smaller wafer, we half cut our cells.
Sure.
Instead of like a 60 cell, it's actually 120 cell. When
right.
we go to the larger wafer, you're just going to have less of that spare space on the panel.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
John, you'll probably notice, especially if you look at an older module compared to a module today, remember you used to have all those little diamonds in the corners,
right.
in between the wafers, right? And the way the wafers were manufactured and cut and grown. Right. But now you see today everything's square. So it was just one more opportunity to close up any of that unused space on the module. And so the same kind of theory. Now, just make the module larger, fewer lines of of gap in between, and that's how you can increase that efficiency.
Yep, makes sense. Thanks.
I saw one question on 72 cell modules or utility scale modules. So yes, so we are going to be producing those. Those are going to be manufactured in the United States in Goodyear, Arizona. We just announced a letter of intent or a commitment with a large developer who is going to be procuring gigawatts of those modules. So one of the things I had mentioned in the build out of the Goodyear, Arizona facility is that we're going to be focused on creating lines that are flexible, meaning they're going to be able to produce both 72 cell modules and like utility scale modules and residential small scale C&I product.
So, Sean, I have a question. Mrs. Markley. So, are you producing finished modules coming out of that plant, or just the solar stuff, and then you ship it someplace else to be inserted in the module? And it's completed modules, correct?
Yeah. So today, those cells are we're taking the wafers in a Meyer-Burger facility in Germany. We are creating the cells, shipping those down the road to Freiburg, Germany, where they are coming out of a Meyer-Burger factory as a Meyer-Burger module. And okay. And the intent is to continue to utilize that cell factory in Germany, ship those cells to the United States for fabrication into modules, where they'll leave Goodyear, Arizona, as a finished Meyer-Burger module.
A couple other quick questions.
So you could ship them to Michigan too if we had a plant here, right?
Yeah.
Dale, go ahead. You got a question?
Oh.
Are there any plans to make frameless modules? You mentioned that these are semi-flexible or more flexible than the conventional ones. Are any plans to make semi-flexible frameless modules?
So not frame. Well, I take that back. Yes, so our cells are much more flexible than what you would see in a standard mono-PERC cell. Most of the time, we're not going to utilize that because it's going to be covered in glass. But again, there's always flex. You know, there's heavy snow loads in Michigan. When those modules are flexing, they're going to create micro cracks. With ours, that should be drastically reduced. For frameless, we are actually, we showcased a solar tile at SPI at Intersolar in Munich this year, which if you go onto our website, MeyerBurger.com, you can see it's, you know, it's still in development, and I can't promise any timelines, but it is something that, you know, we're looking at heavily. We're involved in a lot of different areas on the R&D side, and constantly looking at ways to evolve and streamline, you know, the production process, cut down on installation costs, improve efficiency, and that's definitely one of them.
So we have a question from Janice Mees. Janice, go ahead.
Hello. Stanford Oshinsky, of course, was the inventor of amorphous silicone, and he was used to live about a mile from me in Bloomfield Township in Michigan. I was just curious, are you doing anything with making a type like they did for the ECD, what was the energy conversion devices, where they would actually be able to roll everything out onto steel and make it into a basically a building integrated PV system that could be used on a roof, for example? Are you doing anything like that?
Great question. Our focus right now is on achieving economies of scale and producing like these modules as you see today. However, you know, we're open to having conversations with others who are developing you know, their own technology and have a need for our cells to incorporate in to their technology. So I think there's some conversations that we're having at a high level about BIPV. But for ourselves at this point in time, outside of the unique roof tile product, I don't believe there are any plans to roll out a BIPV product with the Meyer-Burger label in the next couple of years.
Super. All right. Well, with that, I think we'll let Mark and Sean go. We truly enjoyed having you come make this presentation. Very exciting opportunities. I wish the plant was in Michigan, but we'll see what happens with the next one with your growth projections. Maybe we can drag you up here to do an assembly project here. So we'll keep that door open, and I know Mark will be telling us when to make that ask. But I'm sure that people in Michigan could be made more aware of the economic development opportunities that are coming to Arizona because of this deal. So I congratulate you, Mark. Thank you so much. You continue to be a great friend of solar and of GLREA, and I hope you have no retirement plans in the making, because we'll be calling up the people at McNaughton-McKay telling them to not let you go. So good stuff. This presentation will be on GLREA's YouTube channel. If there are questions, you can send them on to John Freeman or myself. And we, again, thank you so very, very much. John, you got any closing remarks you'd like to make?
No, I just want to thank Mark and Sean. They did a great job, and encourage everybody who is not a member of GLREA to become a member. We grow. That's how we have our support, and we appreciate everyone to support this effort.
Thank you again, everybody. Really, really appreciate all the time you've taken tonight. Thanks.